I've helped a mattress manufacturer go from 2.1 million to 3.7 million. I've helped a precast company go from 1.2 to 3.6. And I've helped a supplement company in New Zealand add an additional 5 million to the organization. These are just some of the results that we have achieved with our signal to sales system. Hi, my name is Dennis. I'm the founder of Haywire Marketing, and for the last decade, we've helped branded manufacturers build acquisition systems that turn buying intent into real revenue. And during that time, we have tested every method imaginable, helping branded manufacturers between 2 to 10 million a year. We've tried cold calling, cold email, paid ads, direct mail, different funnels, CRM automations, trade shows. Some completely failed, some worked temporarily, and most agencies are solving this problem entirely wrong. But one system completely outperformed everything else. That eventually became the signal to sales system. Most marketing advice that you see online is just recycled for SaaS companies, e-commerce, and generic B2B companies. But manufacturing sales cycles work completely different. They're longer, slower, relationship driven, trust heavy, and dependent on multiple stakeholders. Most manufacturing marketing fails because they treat it like a SaaS company or e-commerce. So instead of asking, how do we generate more leads? We started asking a completely different question. Because before a manufacturer sales closes, something happens first. Buyers start signaling intent. So what is signal to sale? Every sale sends signals before it happens. Things like ad clicks, repeat website visits, spec sheet downloads, VSL watch times, email opens, retargeting engagement, follow-up replies, and book calls. But most manufacturers completely ignore these signals. The problem isn't lack of interest, is that there is no system capturing buying intent. The signal to sales system is fundamentally around one thing: capturing buyer intent early, organizing it correctly, and systematically moving it towards revenue. Traffic is the easiest part to get. Turning intent into predictable revenue, that's the hard part. Most systems are fragmented. You usually see ads with no nurture, CRMs with no structure, outreach with no education, leads with no follow-up, which makes a sales call happen way too early. So most agencies, they just stop at lead generation. We built a system after the lead. Traffic is not a pipeline, signals is the pipeline. So here's how the system actually works. The first thing we want to do is we want to lay out the foundation. In order to do that, we want to focus around the prospect and who we want to get in front of. There's going to be two ways to do this. First is we want to view your private databases. So this is going to be your current files, like your CRM, your emails, and phone calls. Now, if you're currently doing Zooms and you're recording your conversations, we want to extract all those transcripts and see what is the common challenges our prospects are dealing with. And we want to take that information and set it aside because we're going to be using that for our messaging for Pillar 1. But when it comes to market research, you want to check out your private databases as well, be able to see which prospects are actually purchasing. And prospects you want to target, we want to go into Zoom Info or LinkedIn. Now, the reason for that is because we want to build a list and extract that information so we can then leverage that into Facebook, Google, or LinkedIn for advertising. Another area you could go into is your website for your web visitors. Now, this is going to be a secondary list that we want to put aside when it comes to retargeting because these prospects are already familiar with you. Now, if you're not too sure exactly how to communicate with your prospects and you do not have a CRM or a database, you want to go into other communities that your prospects are in. So these are going to be forums, Reddit threads, and niche communities that your desired prospects are in. You're going to begin to do market research on your prospects' current struggles that your product solves. Now, as we are building this out, the next part is using conditional logic. Now, conditional logic is when we can qualify a prospect way before they get to your sales rep. The tools we like to use is Typeform, WP Forms if your website or your landing page is on WordPress. And if you have a CRM, usually go high level, and HubSpot provide the same exact qualification options as the previous two that I listed. This is how we're going to filter out tire kickers to actual decision makers. The goal here is to avoid broad, low intent targeting, which is what a lot of agencies bring in. The first pillar that we're going to focus on is signal generation, the platforms that we want to leverage to get in front of our prospects. Since we have the foundation and created a database of who we want to get in front of, we want to leverage that on the platform that we're advertising on. So Meta, such as Facebook and Instagram, as well Google. In pillar one, there are 3 areas that we need to check off in order to have everything operate smoothly. The first thing is we want to make sure our attribution and reporting is correct. So this is going to be Google Analytics 4, having that set up with Google Tag Manager. So what we want to have here is we want to set up our analytics with Google for our attribution. When we're driving traffic from Google Ads to your landing page or your website, that platform is able to register if a lead opted in through your ad account, and as well see how people are interacting on your website or landing page with the tool Clarity. Now, Clarity is a free tool. You could be able to see how people are interacting with your website, how far they're scrolling down, and if there's any issues or bottlenecks of why people are not opting in, you're going to be able to get screen recordings on people's behavior on your website, which would be extremely important. Now, if you have some additional budget to spend on a software, another tool I would highly recommend is Lead Forensics. And you're going to see exactly which companies are coming to your website and browsing. So if you have a sales rep, you can be able to contact these prospects if there's a good fit. Now, in order for our prospects to opt in, this is why we did our market research to start understanding the problems these prospects are dealing with. The messaging on your ad and your homepage has to be congruent. The hook of your video or on your static image, the core pane, needs to be included on your homepage, your landing page, or wherever you're driving your traffic to, or there's going to be a disconnect and you're going to notice a large bounce rate. Now, if you're creating a video ad, the video structure needs to call out the issue your prospect is having as the hook, talk about what they have tried in the past that has failed and why it's not their fault, but the issue, and make that the villain, and then show your product being the solution with a case study and a call to action. That structure of a video is what performs time and time again when you're running a video ad. And then lastly, for Meta, we want to use server-side tracking, which is also known with pixel conditioning. Now, the reason why we want to leverage conditional logic such as Typeform or WP forms with meta ads or CRM forms is because if a lead comes through and that lead is qualified, it's going to send that data back to Facebook. So Facebook now knows exactly who you want to get in front of, and it will begin showing your ad to that prospect. Now, if you do not have conditional logic, this is going to be a reason why you're getting a lot of low intent leads. Now, the goal here is not the volume of leads, but the quality. Having this set up is going to be a complete game changer. Pillar number 2 is our revenue infrastructure. This is going to be our CRM, our customers relationship management software. Most manufacturers do not have this, and this is where they're dropping the ball tremendously or is disorganized. The first thing you want to have is the pipeline stages. You want to know exactly where the lead is in the sales process. Once you've spoken to the lead, once you provide that lead information, if that lead has made a purchase or not, if you need to follow up with them. And this is going to allow you to understand where there's a bottleneck in your sales process, as well understand the sales cycle and the length of that. The second part is lead tracking. Most people believe they're getting leads in areas that they're really not. So having a tag and understanding where that lead came from, as well their intent, because we're now able to tie back which lead came from what ad, and this is how we're able to identify what's performing well and what is not performing. And then the lead's behavior, being able to score the lead. How many times have they opened an ad? How many times have they clicked and opened an email? How many pages have they visited? How much time have they spent on your website? All this information you can tally and see which leads are hotter than other and which lead your sales team should focus on to convert first. And when it comes to lead tracking, lastly, having different segments. We want to understand which lead is in which industry. So when we have our email sequence set up, we want to make sure the messaging resonates to that prospect depending on what job title they're in or what industry they're in. If you're just sending a mass email to all of your prospects, if they all have different job titles or in different industries, it's not going to resonate. You're going to have a very low open rate and even worse, a low conversion rate. And the third part to our revenue infrastructure, having follow-up visibility. So this is going to be your dashboard. You're going to be able to see exactly where their lead is, when was the last touch, how many leads converted, and this is where we're able to spot bottlenecks and make changes. As well, be able to set up the proper follow-ups for that prospect to move further down the sales process to convert. And the last pillar here is revenue protection. Buyers are notorious for delaying decision making, which means leads fall through the cracks and you bleed money. Buyers delay decisions constantly because of vendor comparisons, internal approvals, budget timing, and just procurement delays. So without follow-up, signal decays and intent disappears. Most deals aren't lost because the buyer says no. They're lost because the conversation just disappears. Follow-up should be valuable. So that's why when it comes to these sequences, we want to gather information on why that prospect is delaying the process. Is it about timing? Is it about budget? Is it about competitors? And this is when we're going to have specific flows based off of that prospect's objection and in your marketplace and have automated sequences specific to where they're at. This is why follow-up should be valuable. It shouldn't be spammy. And this is where we're able to differentiate yourself from you and prospects. So when it comes to following up, there could be a personalized video between the sales rep and the lead. As well, you want to have trust assets that's going to help build belief in your prospect and have a stronger relationship. The goal of the third pillar is to educate that prospect, to have a shorter sales cycle, to reduce skepticism. So your sales call should confirm that belief, not just build it from scratch. Here's how the system connects. So ads are just a tactic, CRM is just a software, and emails are just automation. But together it becomes an infrastructure. The power is an individual tactic, it's the orchestration of signals. Most manufacturers already have demand. They just don't have a system organizing and converting intent. So if you want to implement the signal to sales system to your manufacturer company, the next step is simple. Book a free strategy call with us. On that call, we're going to look at your current acquisition system, identify where demand is leaking, and map out how the signal to sales system can be implemented in your organization. There are no upfront costs for this call. You're going to be walking away with a personalized roadmap for your business on how to capture more intent, organize it, and convert it. So click the link below, schedule your free call, and we'll build a system for your organization.